The Jim and Terry Show running on empty.
Yes, running
My
on
coffee.
empty. I am pretty tired. Oh, you meant the coffee, all right.
Never empty of ideas, Jim. Always
Never.
got ideas, just maybe not enough coffee to get through the podcast. This is going to be our potpourri, our catch-all of things that we maybe forgot about. Maybe.
Yeah, I usually call
Short-term
it
memory
our
problem.
smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord. Okay, so it's all these things that we are interested in, but not sure about whether we can talk a lot about them. But we're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff. How about this Ed Sheeran versus Marvin the Martian?
Martians are gay.
Don't start rumors, Jim. Okay, the question is of Ed Sheeran's song and Marvin Gaye's estate. So I'm not sure if I can call up the song, but I did listen to the analysis where a guy took the two verse by verse chorus, and Marvin Gaye doesn't have a chorus structure, so that tends to be Ed Sheeran's calling card. It's not the same song because I have a chorus and Marvin Gaye does not.
Well, the pattern of the song is the pattern behind dozens of songs, apparently.
Dozens. Hundreds.
And apparently, the young fellow there,
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, thank you. Obviously, I don't follow him.
Neither
Ed
do
Sheeran. But apparently he said, if I lose this, I'm done. That's it. I'm hanging it up.
Well, there are how many chords? There are how many notes in an octave? I mean, how many key signatures are there? And we're getting... All of us have been... The hounds of creativity have been released with digital stuff, with MIDI, and you don't have to know music. You don't have to be able to play a musical instrument. You can compose using loops and samples and all kinds of stuff and not have a clue about music or anything.
And I don't think Ed Sheeran did any of that. He
sits with.
I heard an expert that he's one of those experts. He was on CNN. He's one of those experts that you would hire to evaluate this and go to court to defend. Okay. He said no, they're not the same. He said, and then he had a guitar with him as well, and he went through the various songs, and he says it's nothing alike. So, I hope Ed Sheeran wins, simply because I don't care if it's almost identical. I really don't. There's only so much you can do. I would take it as flattery. Steal my song. Go ahead.
He's not Marvin Gaye, so his own words, and I mean, to what extent do you start to say the chord pattern is my song? Well, no, it's the voice, it's everything. Yeah. It's the arrangements, the recording, the whole thing is not the same.
Yeah, like if I became a star, one of my songs is very much the chord pattern of House of the Rising Sun. I didn't mean that, but when I heard it, I went, well, that is. Now, am I going to get, I don't know who would come against me about that, the Animals, and say that's House of the Rising Sun? Well, I would go, well, you didn't write that song. It was written by a lady 50 years before you who stole it from someone else 50 years before her. Right. Why do you get the right to hold on to this? Just let it go. And that's how I really honestly feel. Now, if you take a song and it's exactly,
word for word,
note for note, and you go, that you just stole that song right off of me. But if you're using a 4-chord pattern that's used in 1,000 songs a year, and you're going to try to say that you hold ownership to those 4 chords, not in my books.
Yeah. Where does plagiarism go when you have AI?
Well, apparently, this guy used an example, and I believe it was the Police, Every Breath You Take. Right. He said they lost, and they don't make a dime from that song because they did sample it. They went in and they took that and they made it, whatever song it was up against. And so he showed those comparisons. It says it's one thing to sample somebody else's stuff and not get permission. Yeah. It's quite another thing to write a whole song, and you're just writing a song.
Yeah.
Using... My next album's going to have the 4-chord pattern in at least 3 of the songs. You know what I mean? I only am limited to my chord knowledge. You know what I mean? It's how you put them, right? And I'm sure there's somebody else that has songs out there that use those same patterns.
Put a capo on it.
Yeah. Well, I have a capo on it, so I win. And I'm not telling the world what fret it's on, so there.
All right, so that's the Ed Sheeran versus the Marvin Gaye estate, because it is the estate that's putting that lawsuit together. It's not Marvin Gaye.
It's just people wanting free money, in my opinion.
Wanting free money. Okay, let's just go all over the place. There's been a lot of anti-Trudeau ranting and raving from the Conservative Party of Canada, from Pierre Poilievre, and from anybody who's dissatisfied with the Liberals and Trudeau. But I wanted to point out this one. This is a quote. Statistically, out of the G7 countries, Canada has had the largest percentage of emission reduction since 2019. And since 2015, Canadians have created more than 1 million jobs. We're proof that with the right policies, you can grow the economy and fight climate change. Walk and chew gum at the same time. Go Canada!
Well, yeah, I can understand that a bit. It's funny, driving here on CFRB, I was listening to a left-wing broadcaster questioning something because apparently this whole accounting department, the Revenue Canada department, he was saying they just recently hired like a ridiculous amount of people. And he goes, come on, what are these people doing? Half the people that work from home, where are they getting? So I'm wondering if sometimes government hires a whole pile of people to boost the numbers so they look good. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying this is what I heard. And it was a left-wing broadcaster that said, like, what are they doing? What are these people doing?
Yeah. So in general, I agree that there should not be wanton hiring within government if it's not needed.
Yeah.
So I agree with
but
you.
I don't know.
It's not a make jobs project. The government should not be about making jobs in the government. Make jobs outside the government, in private industry. Support investment in private industry. Yeah,
I agree.
It's not about.
So I only said that is just because it was funny. It stuck with me, especially thinking who was saying it. And they weren't saying it really super critical. They were just asking the question, why did you have to hire all these people in this modern world with all the technology we got? What are you doing with all of these people?
Fair question.
And I think it's a fair question, yeah.
And we need to keep that in mind. It's okay to ask questions. And if the answers are right, the answers are right. If the answers are wrong, they're wrong. Yeah. But ask the question. Yeah. All right, I'm interested in this because, I was in education. The University of North Carolina system drives the state's economy and advances the state's reputation as a leader in public higher education. But Republicans are prepared to trade all that away for the satisfaction of intimidating professors and solving a problem that doesn't even exist. Universities as liberal indoctrination centers. So that whole article is based on a little tweet that I found. Education seems to be the biggest threat to the GOP. We need more low information voters out there.
Well, okay. Maybe that's true, Terry. I don't know.
So the dumber the people are, the more they will vote Republican or conservative? Is that what that's saying?
I don't know if we should use the term dumb, to tell you the truth. There's a lot of smart people who aren't educated. And education will mold into their likeness. So I can see their point on that, but I don't know what you can do about it. You can't say to people, we don't want you educated. It might just be the truth. If you go through a lot of higher education, chances are you'll turn out to be a liberal as opposed to a conservative. It might be true.
That's like saying if you have Jim, the Simpsons. If you have that little radioactive thing, you're going to grow the fish with the third eye.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you drink the toxic water, you will mutate. And don't forget Alex Jones and his gay frogs. What? I don't get all that. Education is education. It doesn't make you gay. It doesn't make you Democrat. Education is just education. So the context of this is removing what is known as the tenure system, which means the professors aren't living as if they are afraid that tomorrow they're going to be fired because they said something against whatever the public
Well, maybe they shouldn't be saying stuff like that. Maybe they should just be educating. Maybe self-opinions should be kept a little bit under wraps, And I think that would make a lot of people feel more comfortable about the educational system. Just teach what you need to teach and try to teach it unbiased. You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
Yeah, I can't.
I don't know. I don't give it all that much thought, but you know how I feel when all of a sudden news became the opinion. All of a sudden they had opinion.
Opinions become the news.
Yeah, and you go, I want news. I don't want your opinion on everything. Walter
Yeah.
Cronkite.
Well-
no, he was good. He was good.
In
And that's the rest of the
universities-
story.
In universities, you're supposed to speak truth. You're supposed to talk about the research. You're supposed to talk about the information. You're not supposed to make it political. You teach the course. You teach the information. So if you're always afraid of losing your job because, well, you're finding stuff out that doesn't support Alex Jones' gay gene thesis, or that frogs are going to mutate, and come on, let people teach what is true and what research says.
People teach.
Teach your children well. Their father's hell
People teach.
is what they're going through.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to move on and find something else.
Because we're almost out of
Because
time.
we're almost out of time. Yeah, the crowd is cheering in the
Incidentally, you know, there was a committee that was banning books. That they're not called banning books in Canada, but they were designed to. They're called Seed and Weed. And one of the books that they decided to weed out was To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, yeah.
And so, again, the left-wing guys said, look, that's probably one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. And why do you want to ban that? So they're rethinking all of their, because in there it's prejudice. They use the N-word and stuff like that. But as John Moore was saying, they're using that to teach, like this is not the way to do it. And that's what that book's all about. So we got to watch we don't go too extreme in all of the things we do.
I think extremism is dangerous, and finding the middle pathway is usually a safer ground to walk. I heard Matt Gaetz is working with AOC. Is that the end of the world?
What's AOC?
Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, who's one of the probably, well, I wouldn't
And
call
he's
her
a
that.
man.
Yeah, so here's the left working with the right to ban stock trading by Republicans and Democrats in Congress.
I think I
Good
might
idea.
agree with that if we have more time.
Well, we don't have. Here we go. Jim and Terry Show signing off. We'll leave you with a dangling participle. Bye-bye.